All right, we're back with another interview, Curtis interview. I got Zach, who's also known, AKA on the Twitter thing, as that Dolphin Realtor. So, Zach, I'm really happy. We've been talking for a couple of years. I think you're a great guy. I love the Twitter thing you do. I wish I had your skill set. I'm not so hot on the Twitter thing. I'm glad you're here to talk with me, brother.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, 100%, man. I want to get everybody. I love to get all the commenters on. It's great, but you're awesome, man. And you retweeted my podcast, which makes you even bigger in my book, man. You're like my advertisement on. So everyone, we're going to talk framework, offensive framework. We're going to limit it to a talk. McDaniel, Weaver, and Detroit. So we'll kick it off. I guess the big part first, framework, offensive framework. It's something that I've really it's always been the number one thing I've focused on. Everyone wants to focus on ESPN style on the quarterback, and it's a big piece, but they're the most dependent piece of the puzzle. And even if you take him out of the equation, we see there's a lot of things wrong, and we're hoping to get fixed this year because we're getting old. I'm really getting old. I'm 53, and he's an old 36. So we're all desperate to see success. And clearly with all the weapons we have and all the assets we invested, the offense has to get right. So Tua is going to be the quarterback. We're not going to really focus on that. We're going to focus on the things that can change. For me, McDaniel, the offensive line, tight end group, philosophy, whatever you want to hit on, brother, we'll dig into it as you see.
Sounds good. And I always say, too, I'm like, how could it hurt to build the offensive line? And then if Tua isn't the guy, then maybe we are just right there ready for that rookie contract and, doing it the right way. So
I totally agree with that one. That's always been I like the Ravens, Pittsburgh. You just build the right framework. You got the right system. You got everything in there. And you just, you move through these quarterbacks till you get the right one. Flip the pages,
Yeah.
Totally agree.
You should always be upgrading with everything.
Always. So we'll start with McDaniel. What do you think about McDaniel? What do you think he needs to improve? What do you think he's going to improve? Or anything?
So, I mean,
that's a whole podcast on itself, I guess, huh?
I was a big believer of the guy because I tend to lean on the optimistic side. And then over the years, I just started noticing these things. And man, I don't think that he is willing to learn. I don't know. That was an alarm. He's willing to learn how to adjust in game through the season. I mean, it took him to the Arizona Cardinals game to figure out that, he needed to implement the under with Jonnu Smith and all these guys that we have. And just utilize this stuff. I don't understand how it can be so obvious and somehow he just misses it.
Yeah, but we have to be like practical in a sense. We decided to take a guy who's a run game coordinator in the booth and then make him HCOC and then say win now. And I think that the pressure to win now, the way it's been set up for him, it just became very hard to learn as you go because you had to hit out of the chute hot. So I totally agree on that. I think some ways he's constrained by the framework and the team, but other ways I just think by who he is, by his lack of learning. So what do you want to see him implement this season that he has?
So when he first flew into Miami, he said something that was very telling. It was more telling than what I originally thought it was. But, he said something like, I'm going to do exactly the opposite of what they think I'm going to do. And I'm like, well, shoot, you sure are. Because he's doing everything wrong, man. Not everything, but what I would like to see him do is learn how to adjust in game in a way that, he understands how they're putting the defense on the field and it becomes redundant. Okay, now it's time to go to, something else. And I don't know why it is tough for him. I think that there are limitations because of the offensive line, which I'm sure we'll talk plenty about. But, just you don't have a lot of opportunity if it's less than 2.1 seconds to throw the ball. So, you're adjusting differently. If you have your quarterback dropping back and he can't even get out of, a 3-step drop back without getting touched most times, then it's not going to be good.
No.
So, what's that?
No, keep going. I was going to say something, but I'm holding it. It's my ADD brain.
No, yeah. So, McDaniel, he needs to learn that. He needs to learn, in-season adjustments, just really, kind of being a little more quick on his toes. And then they really have to start focusing on these things that matter. Like the offensive line is very important. It also is important for the inside run, which is something we didn't have at all this year.
No.
We don't even have a contested catcher, man. We don't have a 50-50 ball guy.
No. We got the Smurf. We got the 80s Smurfs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think a thing for me, too, is just something simple. Because he came out of the chute hot because we had all this motion. And clearly they did a focus on this cheat motion. And you could see that the receivers were being a little more hesitant. It wasn't as effective. And it really stripped away a lot of the gravitas that his offense had. It was very scheme matchup. So he calls the play, usually late, gets to the line of scrimmage late, run your motions, and then as it starts getting down there, the D line or the D front knows I think this ball's got to come out. But then we can make adjustments. There was what game was this year? I did a video on it, and it was who was it? Anyway, they were playing totally high leverage in the box. They were playing cover 2. Everybody was playing off. The D ends were spread out wide, and we were in like an eye look, and we didn't run. We passed out of it because we can't even audible out. Yeah. And I think I'm banging on the table and moving the camera. I think that's to me is the biggest problem is that we are very, very predictable. We have no adaptability. And an Army that has no adaptability is easily crushed.
Yeah.
So that's a big piece of the puzzle for me. Now, what do you think about his discipline?
His discipline is a problem, as we see now. I mean, I kind of suspected there was going to be – he's the type of guy that you need a lot of buy-in. And if you don't have it, then you're going to start seeing these types of reports where people are staying at hotels away from their team and all this stuff. And it's
I didn't hear that. Tell me some other stuff. I don't listen. I don't listen to the Twitter thing, all that, and all the song. What happened? Tell me all the things. I didn't hear about that. I just heard about him late for this to the meetings and stuff.
Yeah. So there were the tardiness problems, but I heard that some of these guys weren't showing up and staying with the team. They were going and staying at other hotels and stuff like that. So. Now
I'm sure they were studying their playbook the whole time.
I bet, man.
That's terrible. Football's the ultimate team game, and all that stuff breaks apart the chemistry, breaks apart the unit. I didn't hear that. That's bad news. How do you reel that in, though? I mean, how do you have like a Woody Allen personality and be who he's been, and then reel it and get tough, especially if you lose Weaver, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, I don't know if he is tough. I'm not sure if he can do it without another buy-in. Maybe you have a killer draft and you put some things in play. It looks totally different. Now you got guys buying in. But I also think that we have a culture issue just in general. For me, like college is so different from the NFL because in college you can kind of get away with just using your skills and your talent. And then when you go to the NFL, now you're trying to effectively tap into something that is like not even human because you're going to have to go through all kinds of trials, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I just see that lacking with too many of our players. They just don't know how to push through. They're almost like kids, man. Like, when you have kids and they're young and they're like, I can't do it. You're like, you can do it. You can do a lot more than you think. And I think that too many of our guys are like that.
I agree. It's so hard to understand. So, I walked on like a Division II school. It was like a farm assistant for a Division I school. A lot of talents, but screw ups. And I didn't know anything. Like I just walked on, and there was some guys that were super talented, but none of those guys ever made it to the pros. I can't imagine D1 school talent. And then you go to the D1 talent, and then most of those guys don't get to the pros. So it's the best of the best of the best. I mean, it is such a meat grinder. It is only the strong survive. It is. I was a Joe Rogan I was watching. I don't watch him, but he had like a clip thing on, and he talked about there was this like little part in Africa where it got cut off by a river. And so the lions could only subsist on these bison, and they became like super lions because all they had is this prime meat. And if you weren't strong, if you died, it's only the strongest. And you got to see these; they look like they're on steroids. And that's what the NFL is like. This guy, even Eichenberg, he sucks. He's terrible for an NFL player, but that guy's a stud, and he's just the one of the worst. Can you imagine what it takes to succeed on that level? You need every drop of mental commitment, physical commitment, and then talent. And if you're not giving it, that's why you flop.
Yeah. Yeah. So in high school, I played for Coral Springs Charter School, and we had several guys go to college, but my quarterback then was Darius Butler, who ended up going to the Patriots and having, incredible career as a cornerback.
Cool.
And the level of commitment that he had compared to everybody else was night and day. And you could just tell, I mean, the guy had so much talent, but you could just tell based on his studying and what he put into the game that he was going to, at very least, get to the NFL, and hopefully he would make something of himself. But he did. He ended up being fantastic.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, like I always remember Zach Thomas with his books. He'd just write everything down. He had stacks of notebooks where he'd write binders and write everything, every little bit of information. And you hear about like coaches, how they want the players to take notes and stuff. It really, the NFL, unless you're the uber freak, it's some of it is mental and commitment. And you can't have. I think I was talking to somebody else. It was Steve. I think he was talking about it had like a sled. They have like a slide and ping pong tables, and that's all well and good if you're winning. But you got to figure the strip bars and all this stuff. It is you've got to have. That's why I said when I first hired McDaniel, I said he's great when you're winning. Everything feels great. But as soon as the hard times come, he's just not going to have the personality to keep it locked down. That's why Flores, you can knock Flores, but we were pretty disciplined. Yeah, it was a few games here or there, but we were the first 2 years we were one of the top least penalized teams.
Yeah,
as 21 we slipped.
Yeah, Flores had that in spades.
Yeah, he had
but
issues.
His problem was I don't think that he really even cared about the offensive line or the offense. Period. I don't know if he knew it existed. It seemed like he was just defense. And that culture. And I love that culture, but he would have been better served if he had an offensive coordinator that this is your guy, almost like a two head coach type situation, like Dan Campbell a little bit.
Well, he did. He had Shane Gailey,
which was for Fitz.
Well,
and then he screwed that up.
No, he didn't screw that up though, because it got screwed up when Tua got inserted.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But who inserted Tua?
I think there was pressure from the top.
I would agree, except that the media found out before he was able to tell a team. And if you go back, you see Tua said, it was really odd. I went up to meet Coach Flo, and they were friends at that point. And it was odd that Greer was sitting there waiting when I came in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So if it was Flores, he would have told Gailey. Gailey was never even consulted on the move. I think, and it's just my personal opinion, I think it was leaked by somebody in the top brass to the media, and then Flores left to reconstruct that. I'm not saying he didn't. I think his Brooklyn angry attitude had him take things out on players after that. but I think that it was the setup was from somebody other than him. I think he screwed up after that, and he admitted to it. But I don't think he had a disdain for the offense, as I kind of sort of reported. I think that he even said, like, Gailey was the future of my team and my offense, and I think that was set up. I think Gailey was intending to hand it over to Tua maybe in 2 years or something. But I think something went on back. But that's just my take. I'm not saying I'm right.
Well, you might be right. I mean, that would be the better play, is to sit there and let Fitz finish the season, and whatever it is. I mean, we were good. They were Fitzpatrick was Fitzmagic.
Great. He was doing excellent.
Was playing really good. The best ball of his life.
Yeah. I was crushed when it happened. And if you go back and you watch, Shane Gailey in his preseason interview said, Tua will be ready when he's healthy and he knows the playbook. And then after the 20 season, what did Tua say? I didn't know the playbook and I wasn't healthy. So there was no way that the staff inserted him. Somebody else made that call. And I think it got like leaked out, and then he was forced to do it. And then he had to, deal with it afterwards. And I think that's why he got bitter. And I think that's the major. But his issue for me was after that, he took it out on the wrong. He became vicious because he was angry. He was like a wounded beast, and that's his failing. I hope he fixes it, because if he had not done that, he would have had a much better name for himself. But that's just my take.
I don't hate the guy. I just, everybody makes mistakes, and he made it probably at the worst opportunity that he's had, or the best opportunity, whichever one. I mean, just the most inopportune time he made it at, and now he's in the Vikings. And I mean, are they even discussing head coaching positions? Is anybody reaching out to him?
No, he's had interviews, but he won't get anything. He'll need more time. Like, if he had succeeded, I think he might have got a legitimate look. I think he looked at who was it? Jets, Chicago, and somebody else. But he's not. They're not going to give him a gig for another 2 years probably, unless he has some amazing season. I think he's still got a lot of fences to mend. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. So I just hate the whole media hustle, the suit hustle that was pulled, because it's so Greer, it's so Dolphins, and I think it's
public enemy number one.
Totally, without doubt. I have a hard time not disliking that guy as a person. So what else on EO? We got McDaniel needs to fix some things. Clearly the offensive line. I don't want to really dig too bit into that. What the receiving group? Are you satisfied with that? Do you think we need to add a piece? What's the? We
need a guy over 5'9".
Hey, I'm 5'8", Mr. Tall Guy. What are you saying?
Yeah, but you're not playing on the Dolphins,
That's true. Yeah, it's true.
I need somebody that can get up and contest a catch, get a 50-50 ball.
Yeah.
I really like this kid, Totoro McMillan.
No.
He could be available right there at 13. He's out of Arizona, and the kid is tall, really crisp route running. He kind of makes me feel like how we felt JJ was, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Coming in, where it was like he could be, but I'm not, how many people went before Justin Jefferson,
Bunch.
Yeah.
Just think how we drafted our receivers. 2 firsts for Waddle, a draft and a second practically for Hill, and they got both those, Jefferson and the other guy, back end of the first round, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're both tall too. I like my running backs 5'9", 5'10", but I definitely like tall receivers, except for a slot guy. I like, But then Hill and Waddle always spread out wide. And then you got Washington, who I like, but he's another kind of short guy.
Yeah, but he's got to beat his man. There's no correction when that ball comes out. It's got to be perfect for them.
Yeah. That's why I'm so happy John was here. That's a nice piece.
I like John a lot.
Do you think we have to add? I think we have to add another tight end. I think it could be at the 13. I think that's a lot of bad things. For me, if there's no DI there and there's not the right offensive lineman, maybe the safety everyone's talking about, but I don't know. Yeah, I would say we need to find a guy maybe the later rounds, like a Kraft in a 4th round, but we need definitely another tight end.
There's going to be too many options on the table for us to take a tight end. If
So
we take Tyler Warren, it's going to be a major, and he could end up being really good, but there are all pros there, especially for defense on the line. So that would be, I think, a mistake. But we really need a tight end that can block a lot better. We have nobody. Julian Hill was supposed to be our guy that blocked, and
crazy.
he just can't. I mean,
Nope.
I'm tired of the development programs there. I want somebody that is a stud for once.
We got Tanakana. Isn't that good enough?
Is he dead?
I don't know, man.
I feel bad for the kid. I don't think he's on the team anymore.
Oh, I don't know.
I think he just got cut. Like end of season cuts. Yeah.
They'll bring him back, I guess, next year. Smythe, we got to get rid of Smythe.
I don't know how he fell off the way he did. He actually had a good catch percentage last year. Granted, it was all seam busters, but I don't know how he fell off so hard with everything, with the blocking, with the catching. Yeah. It's just
maybe he's one of the guys in the apartment, in the hotels. I don't know.
It could be.
We definitely need a tight end, but I don't think the 13. I was kind of on the Warren kid at Tyler Warren at 13 at first because it's just such a critical piece to the puzzle. But DI, offensive line, and then there's just a lot of pieces we need. So what are you doing at 13? What are you doing at 13 and 45?
Okay, so 13, I'm probably looking for best available. So if somebody like crazy, like Mason Graham drops, I'm getting him. If
you think he will though, he's near the top DI.
I think based on, and I'm always wrong. Like everybody's wrong about this, right? Even Mel Kiper's wrong about this.
Yeah.
But the way that it looks to me, based on needs and the board, I think that we'll probably be along the, maybe Kelvin Banks, maybe Totoro McMillan, somebody like that, Burden. So, I think that we could get a real premium position right there. And then at 48, I would not be surprised if they don't just jump on like Will Howard or like a quarterback for a backup.
Really?
Or because they need it. I mean, shoot, man, that's been terrible for us.
Yeah. But then you're not getting an offensive lineman. That would be horrific.
I like the guards still there.
I like I got the names are in my head. I'm doing the research. I'm not even up to hip yet, but there's like a guy from Alabama. Was it Georgia or something? There's
Jonathan Booker.
Yeah, there was some really good guards in that second round. I can understand if we would go guard and not tackle. You got, maybe bring Teron back for a pay for play. You got Paul Jackson. We need guards. We don't have any guards.
Well, it's all gonna change when the Senior Bowl or when the Senior Bowl and then the Combine. It all changes, right? But based on what I'm seeing, my kind of rating system, PFF is probably the worst I've ever seen.
Really?
I don't think PFF is at all into what actually is knocking at that door. So I'll get on PFF mock drafts, and it'll be saying that we can get like this sure bet, offensive lineman that's going in the first round, and I'll get him in like the third round, and I'm like, there's no way. So
they got their own rating system. I forgot who it was. They had him as like the number 1 D tackle, and he wasn't bad. He was okay, but he was like the number 1 player, and he wasn't drafted like the 6th round. I remember a couple of years ago, played for like Seahawks. I think I can't remember his name.
Paying attention for a few years now, I believe that the most accurate one that I've seen is NFL Draft Buzz. I think they have a really good rating system.
I got to check out because draft's not my. I don't watch college. I just basically start studying players, and then. But I'm trying to do better this year. So NFL Draft Buzz, I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I would be getting offensive line, maybe defensive line, offensive line. Like I would just whatever.
So who do you think is going to be sitting there for us? Who do you see in your little mocks? Who do you think's like sitting there for us?
At 13?
Yeah, give me like 2 or 3
13?
players. Yeah,
I think it's going to be T-Mac, Kelvin Banks. I've seen people mock Kenneth Grant, which is the other Michigan DT. Maybe Pierce, the edge out of Tennessee.
Oh
But
God,
then
I love
again, like
edge.
Luther Burden might like go to the Senior Bowl and tear it up, or the Combine and tear it up, and now all of a sudden he's ahead of this guy and that guy. So
Al's really big on that guy Calvin Banks. I still haven't done the film. I got to get into it this week. What do you think about Calvin Banks? He says he can play guard, and he's what? I repeat.
He's top ranked. He can go to tackle, go to guard, both sides.
Ooh, I like that.
Big
I'm
guy,
looking at my
big
chops
frame.
on that. And you
Athletic.
think he can actually fall to us? That's great, man. I'm gonna dig into it this week. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much top end talent. You got to think like there are musts that are going to go in front of us. Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, maybe even Ashton Genty. I don't think Ashton Genty gets past the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's a safety, right? No, Genty's the running back. I love that guy, man. He's 5'9".
Yeah.
Right in my prototype, man. He looks
breaks
like
every
special.
tackle.
He looks like he's so special. He doesn't have the top end escape, that last burst, but man, he kind of reminds me a little bit like of an Emmitt Smith type, sort of that small little guy. He's shifty, tough. I love that kid. I think he's really special. He reminds me of, I think he's one of the best talents since Barkley.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we're, Cam Ward, I like Cam Ward. Obviously, I'm a little biased. I'm a Hurricanes fan, but I do like Cam Ward a lot. Shedeur Sanders, but I think both of those guys wouldn't even be ranked over J.J. McCarthy last year. So, you're looking at completely different evaluations on coming into the draft. We don't have like a crazy wide receiver haul or a crazy quarterback haul. It's like really, really, really good edge, really, really, really good defensive tackle, a couple offensive linemen that basically all of them played tackle and now they're going to guard. And then a couple of those pieces. Travis Hunter is a weird one. It's like, is he going to play corner or wide receiver?
Oh, I love this, man. I'm learning now. I'm excited to dig into this stuff. Yeah, that'd be perfect. He almost reminds me of Hunt. We draft him as a tackle and move him to guard. I'd love to replace Hunt's talent.
Hey, he kind of looks like Hunt. When he plays, he kind of looks like Hunt. He's just got an enormous anchor. You're not moving him.
Oh, man, I just feel like I'm did drugs or something, man. That's very good. I'd love to see that. That'd be awesome. Good stuff, man. I'm going to dig into this and we'll have a better conversation later, man. I've been paying attention. I did a small little thing, but I got to start digging in hot and heavy very soon. So, okay. So, Weaver. To me, McDaniel doesn't have Weaver. What does he do? 5 years, 5 DCs? And I think Weaver and Campbell played a huge part in anchoring this team as far as personality and trying to create some stability. But if you lose Weaver and Campbell, I am terrified of what the culture of this team might look like. Hill will run it. He'll take care of it.
Okay, well, that'd be great. We'll end up, everybody will be fined by the end of the year. I don't know. I don't know what they would do without Weaver. He was just so much better than expected as far as, the buy-in and the discipline. And he was, obviously when we started out, we didn't look that great and we moved into it. I don't know what's up with Javon Holland or some of these other guys that just didn't want to show up all year. Our safety group was really bad.
Bad.
Yeah.
None of them are coming back. So it's like, we need safeties. What are the pieces on this team you think we need?
Yeah,
go through the whole thing, offense and defense. There's a lot, man. I think there's a lot.
Yeah, we need 2 guards. We need, and this is just starting. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of backup, right? So just starting 2 guards, 2 safeties. We're probably looking at needing to get a cornerback unless we're just going to roll with Cam Smith or Ethan Bonner. I don't know how we're going to do that.
Cam
Um,
Smith. Ugh.
Kendall Fuller is hurt too much. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. We need some
Um,
talent because those guys are getting old. Ramsey and Fuller. And then
yeah, we
Kohu
need
might
a
walk.
backup quarterback. We're not going to get a starting quarterback, starting caliber this year. I don't think
That's
it's possible.
6. We're at 6 already. 6 starters.
Yeah.
I think
Um,
I think at least a solid number 2 tight end.
yeah, there you go.
We don't
Somebody
need
that can
running
actually
backs.
block.
Yeah, we don't need running backs. That's good.
No. I think actually Wright will be a lot better when he actually has holes to run through. Because, remember in Tennessee, he led college
Oh yeah.
in long runs.
Yeah,
So he can
he
burst
looked
through 'em.
good. To me, he looked good, even though he wasn't getting much. You could see. To me, that you judge a running back by when they don't have holes and what they do with it. That's how you really evaluate. I think a lot of people too often evaluate them on when they get big plays. That's not really how you evaluate. For me, a running back, you see when they don't have the holes because then you find out what they're really made of. And I thought he did a lot with very little.
Yeah, I
I think
agree.
he's a talent. I think he's a talent. And him and
DT,
HN.
we're going to need to add DT.
Yeah. Oh, I ran out.
Maybe
I think I
two.
ran
It
out of
depends.
fingers. I think I ran out of fingers.
If we're 3-4 like we were primarily last year with Deshaun Hand and Benito
Yeah.
Jones and all that, I don't know if we're going to bring those guys back. Hopefully, they played pretty well.
Not Benito. I don't like Benito. I like Hand a lot though.
Yeah,
But
Hand was good.
he's a rotational guy. You don't want to give him too many snaps.
Benito gets gassed. You can tell.
And
He just
gets
starts
moved.
falling off at the end of the
Yeah.
game.
He's not good. I mean, if Detroit, who's serious about winning, lets him walk, that's a sign that, he's not good. I don't think he's big. That's his thing. He's just, there's not that many big guys like that. So he finds a job, but I don't think he's very good. You just really got Sealer.
What? Yeah. Sealer is amazing.
Yeah, that's it.
What do you think about the most premium position, which is edge?
It's like everything's got to be complicated, man. It's so annoying because you got Chubb, who you really got to let cut. You can't bring him back.
He's got too much money on the table.
No,
you got to get him all.
Bust. Oh my Lord, how many picks and time and money on that? And then you got Phillips who's coming back, and everybody's hot and heavy. He'll be back. He wasn't 100% when he came back last year. He was starting to get himself going, and then he got injured again. So he's been it's going to take a while for him. I like Chubb. I don't know about Kamara. He seems like okay. It seems like there's some potential there, but it's not like he's going to lock it down. So, yeah, you got to move off Chubb. That's like $19 million, I think you can get. We need that money. We're negative 11 right now.
We got to re-sign Tyrell Dotson. Jordan Brooks has been good.
Yeah.
How do we go from terrible linebackers to really good linebackers, and then the safeties just fell apart? Why can't it just be good at all at once?
Oh, I'll tell you why. Chris Greer.
Yeah.
Chris Greer. He's terrible. Yeah, it's amazing. We just very incompetent. But he did good. But that's the thing. He does some good things like Dotson and Brooks. Those are very good finds. Very good price. Campbell was a great. That was pretty easy. The only reason he got it is because of Weaver. But that was an easy. But that was a good one. But he just screws up so many places, and there's so many holes. But
well, you know what really gets me, and not to harp on Tua or anything, but this is more so about McDaniel, about Greer, about setting up the team. Tua is one of 10 NFL quarterbacks in its history that has gone above 100 passer rating for the past three years or consecutive 3 years. And he did it 3 different ways. He did it with the most ADOT the first year. The second year, he did it kind of a mixture. So he was getting a lot of quick screens and stuff like that, but also he was still going down the field and he was getting the yak. The first year with Hill, there was no yak.
Yeah.
And then he did it this year where it was all under stuff. And so when I look at that, I don't look at a quarterback that, I'm not saying he's perfect, but I don't look at it like it's the quarterback's fault immediately. He's not my main concern. It's got to be other factors.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that Greer has just set him up for failure with that offensive line and the lack
That's
of a
what he does
contested.
best. That's what he does best.
Yeah.
That's what he does
So
best.
we'll
Well, if you
see.
think, that's the whole thing. I feel like, I did like a battle with everybody for like 3 years on the O-line. That was like, I feel like PTSD and worn out from it. But now it's like, now the new one's Tua. Like everyone's kind of accepted the O-line. It's like you either have to hate the kid, like he's the worst, or he's great. He's in the middle someplace. He's that middle ground. I think, clearly he's got the great release. People still trying to figure out whether he can read or not. It's like that's another.
I don't understand that though. I've seen him in great processing. It's just very limited because we don't have a lot of opportunities to see him with time. But I know what people talk about where, oh, he's not, actually going through his progressions. He's just looking off a defender. I've seen that too. There are different looks for that. So I've seen both. But I've seen him incredibly process the field before.
Seems that way to me.
Yeah. So
I'm not saying he's always. It's like you can look at it and say, "Oh, he did really good here, and he didn't go." It's not like a broad stroke thing, but for me, it's the front. Like you don't throw it 2.02 seconds. Yeah, you got a lot of screens in there, but it's still exceptionally fast. Then you condense everything down, and it makes it harder to go through those. Now, I did that. I did a thing with Steve Malloy the other day, and he had like a chart or whatever, and said he was bad at his progressions. And I didn't see the chart; and it was going over it. But I'm going to go over it in my podcast. But the biggest problem was he had like 18% predetermined throws, and that skewed everything and put him to one of the bottoms of the charts. But we don't know the why. We don't know why that there's so many predetermined throws. Is it because Tua can't do it? Okay. Is it because McDaniel can't create an offense that, to support that? Because it's a lot easier to be an OC and to call a play, shuttle it out to the line of scrimmage, and then let the mismatches happen in the motion and let the quarterback figure it out than it is to create an offense that you got to have audibles and you have to have adjustments and you have to add more depth to the playbook. So Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of mixture of both. Maybe it's a little McDaniel. Maybe it's a little bit of Tua. Maybe it's because the O-line sucks. So I think but everyone's trying to hold on to why he's good and why he's terrible. And everybody just finds these fixation points. I just think
the second that you start saying anything positive or negative about Tua, that feeds on somebody's confirmation bias, and then they don't hear anything else that you say. You're either a Tua lover or a Tua hater.
Yeah, I became a Tua lover. I don't know how I became one, but I saw people tell me. I think he's between like a 7.5 and 8.5. Yeah. Like out of 10. Like I see him in that range. I could maybe get some unbelievable framework around it, maybe get a little bit higher. But I just think the framework is going to determine him because he doesn't have the mobility. He's got an injury history, doesn't have a huge arm, can't really throw the deep outs, but he could do all the other stuff. There's lots of quarterbacks that succeed. Now, is that to get the highest level? I don't know, but I know
what's the highest level? There's 5 guys.
Yeah.
There's 5 guys that are at that level, and you don't need a quarterback like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels.
Nice to have
Patrick Mahomes too. Yeah, it's a luxury though.
Yeah.
Maybe they can, but back in the day, it used to be that your team had to be fantastic in order to make it.
Yeah.
And it's not like that anymore because everybody's so fixated on this huge money for the quarterback and the guy can run a little bit and he threatens this way. That's nice. I would say always look to upgrade. But there's nobody there that we can upgrade to.
Yeah.
That's
a key thing they forget. It's not like I could choose the next quarterback. Oh, I'm going to swap out Tua for Josh Allen 2.0. It's like, it took us this long to find Tua.
They're playing too much Madden, man.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't work like that.
If we wanted Cam Ward right now, we would have to give up at least 2 firsts, 2 seconds in order to just move up in order to get him. And we, like you said, we don't have a framework of a team right now. So you're talking about how many years to try and build that framework up? You're going to waste it.
Yep. I mean, that's why I think it goes back to what you were saying before. You build the right team, and like the Broncos, they found Knicks at 15. That guy is good, man.
Yeah, he's good.
So you just look for Dolphin fans, winning a playoff game, not wetting the bed every time we go in bad weather on the road. That's like heaven.
Yeah.
And you just build this thing with Tua to get it better and better and better. And then you keep waiting for a guy to fall to you. And you have enough talent, then you can say, you know what, I'm not going to grab this player at, 15 or 18. The quarterback fell. I'm going to take him. Look at Lamar. He was taken late in the first.
Yeah.
We just there's no patience. I think Dolphin fans, and I understand why, they're just not patient. And I think that Ross thinks or knows that we're not patient. And so he's constantly in the state of patching it up rather than stripping it down. We didn't really strip it down the last time because we kept Greer here. We kept a lot of the coaching staff. We kept Ross still interfering. We were almost there, but we never went all the way. And I think that's what we need.
Yeah. This year, I'm not sure there's going to be like a Bo Nix type where it's kind of late.
I'm not big on Shador or Ward. I'm not really big on them.
Yeah, but they'll go in the first 5, right?
Oh, yeah.
But everything past that, I mean, it just depends on how it falls. Maybe Jalen Milroe still goes in the first, but he's a big risk, I think.
Yeah.
So Will Howard, all these guys, it just doesn't feel like last year was crazy. Last year was like Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, all these guys. I mean, some of these dudes, JJ McCarthy, they're, top 5 picks going in 20.
Yeah. But that's why you have to get good players at 13 and 45. This way, if you, for the next 2 or 3 years, if you're getting good players, especially in the mid rounds, your team starts getting stock and you're like, you know what, I can take that risk at 15. I can take that risk at 22 or 27. If a guy falls, you just got to be it's all about patience. War. This is like mock war. And patience is key. You cannot make desperate moves. But if we put it together right, we can have that patience and maybe find that guy after 2 if he's not the right guy.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw, I posted like a list of all of the players in the past like 20 years drafted at 13 overall. And it was just amazing.
Good one, Al.
Oh my God, you got Christian Wilkins, Brock Bowers, like the list goes on and on. I'm like, lucky number 13, man.
Yeah.
So we might actually have a good player.
Let me tell you something. If he misses at 13, that's got to sign, seal, and deliver his exit.
Yeah.
Because he's done pretty good, though, I think, in these. I mean, he got Minka, which was like 11 or something. And he got Wilkins. He's done Jackson's 19. That's a little outside the range, but he's sort of.
Jackson's okay. He's mid. That's the problem. Yeah. He's, not anything great, but that's why Chris Greer keeps, living longer than he should, is because he gets Chop Robinson, or he got Minka, or he got this guy or that, and it's always. But he cannot evaluate the offensive line, and he can't understand how to build a team that is successful in the NFL.
And he's terrible in the mid rounds.
Yeah.
He's terrible.
You can't be. That's so vital to hit on your mid round stuff.
That's the key. That's the key. That's why, how did we go from the youngest team 3 years ago to the oldest team now?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
We gave up too much.
Yeah, well, let's pray that it works out. I really appreciate you giving me some schooling on the draft, and I'm gonna go sit down this week. I'm really gonna start digging through it. I started looking at some of the offensive line, but I gotta start fleshing it out. What was it?
NFL Draft Buzz. That's a good one.
Buzz. I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna check that out today. I'm gonna go chill out after this and start checking it out. But Zach, I appreciate it, man. Don't be me. Promote yourself. Promote yourself. Tell us all the cool stuff about you, and don't be bashful. Get rock and roll, brother. Yeah.
Hey, I'm that Dolphins Realtor on Twitter, but in real life, I'm actually a realtor. So that means that I help people sell and buy homes, and you can always contact me whenever. My brokerage is Buyers for Homes, awesome. And I also do other stuff too. I'm kind of I'm shaking and moving. I do mobility scooter rentals. And
Sweet.
sometimes when I'm not completely down on the Dolphins, I write about them on FinHub. So
Yeah, you do. You got to get back to it because you haven't written for a while. He was reading them, and then you stop writing a little bit. Get back to it, brother.
yeah, I need
You got
to.
to. You got to keep the written word. It's important. I even find myself not reading as much. It's important to read because you're forced to lock in and analyze stuff. So get back to that, man. Yeah, I enjoyed your stuff when you started doing it. I remember.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. We need to keep the written word alive. They're gonna try to turn everything to video so they can edit it, man. Own books, own stuff.
The problem with when I write, I'm trying to think of why Tyler Huntley could work out in this offense because of his type of quarterback play, and then like the next day he just sucked. So I'm like, oh man.
Yeah,
so
you got
like,
time. Yeah, you got to time right. I write for Finn's News, and I've been doing that for like 10 years or something. And you got to just time it out. It's such a short shelf life.
Yeah,
and it's hard to write rather than to sit here and ramble off like a meathead like me, So, but keep it up. We need it.
Yeah, you do a great job, man. When you were saying that you might, be leaving
we'll
or being forced, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. You're like a staple to me.
Oh, you're a nice guy, man. You're a nice guy. I'm gonna get a petition up so they keep me. I don't know. I'm gonna find out in a couple more weeks. I think after the Super Bowl, I'll know whether I'm sticking or not. I hope so. I love to do it, man. I appreciate that. So, anybody out there, please like, subscribe on Curtis's little thing over here so I keep doing my gig. And then follow at that Dolphins Realtor and his writing and his selling of the homes. If I had enough money, I'd have you go buy me a home.
I appreciate that.
Anytime, brother. I appreciate everything you coming on. We'll definitely do it again. I really like this. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy talking to people and like learning because I'm really not good at the draft. So you really made me get my little fire in my pants and pull some good tips. I appreciate
Next
that.
time Next time I'm coming on, we'll talk more about the draft. We'll do like a quick episode on the draft.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Definitely. I got to get into it's such a big thing, the draft. I got to focus on it. It's just I really don't watch college. I don't have the time, but I'm going to dig into it now. You got me. Today I'm going to start it up. So anyway, brother, I appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for stopping by. I'll see you all soon. Curtis and Zach Thomas over here saying go Fins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.